We find Vecna, we end this once and for all. Together.
On December 25th.
We have a plan. It's a bit insane. Everyone in?
He knows where we are.
Watch out!
Get ready for one last adventure.
We stay true to ourselves. Stay true to our friends, no matter the cost.
Found you. Stranger Things, Season 5, Volume 2, begins December 25th, only on Netflix.
Welcome back to The Case For with Chris Cox, that pretend procedural that is not set in the court of last resort, but rather the court of the Disney World Resort. This is the podcast where theme park expert Len Testa and mind reader Chris Cox debate some of the more trivial aspects of vacationing in Orlando. Or should I say, under normal circumstances, if Mr. Testa were upright, he and Mr. Cox would be debating.
Hold on, to be fair, I think you should mention that prior to us recording today's show, thanks for listening, by the way, we did hold the annual Case For Christmas party.
By the way, folks, this is my co-host, Chris Cox.
And as for the gentleman who is now sounding very judgmental, well, that's the less than honourable James Robespierre Hill, who presides over this court. Actually, Jim, I've been meaning to ask you this on many previous episodes. Your middle name, is it really Robespierre? And also, is that how I say it?
Well, first of all, the wonderful pronunciation, and no, my middle name is not really Robespierre. It's Richard. I get my name from my parents' brothers. James Grant was my mom's little brother, and Richard Hill was my dad's older brother.
Okay, so then why, just for this show, do you use a fake middle name?
Well, okay, this actually harkens back to when I was in the military. I joined the service March of '83, and when I went to basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, as your input into the U.S. military, you fill out hundreds of forms and the same information over and over again. First name, last name, middle initial.
The beauty and consistency of bureaucracy. Even today, in our supposedly paperless society, it's just about repeatedly filling out forms.
Yes, it was. Anyway, at one point, I get handed a form again, and I'm told to fill in my middle initial, but instead of there being a single block where I could drop in a single letter, there's this huge empty space with multiple blocks that I was being asked to fill in.
So what did you just snapped, right? You're like, well, I'm going to go for this.
Well, that was the thing exactly. Just sort of like, it was one of these things where it's like, what's the longest word I can fill in here? And at the time, what came to mind is Robespierre. And in hindsight, probably not a good choice on my part, because it turns out the form I was filling out was to establish my medical records in the Army. So this would suddenly come up a lot.
Every doctor's going, well, this is an interesting middle name. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So, in fact, and it continues today. Whenever I go to the VA for my diabetes checkups, there will be a nurse or a physician's assistant who will just, be looking at the form and then sort of stop and look up and go, Robespierre? It's like, so anyway.
Okay, so I love that I've learned a whole new thing about Jim Hill law right now. But we should probably explain what's become of Len Testa.
Well, all right. Long story short, folks, the man overindulged at the Case For Christmas party. And let's put it bluntly, folks, some folks just can't handle their butterbeer.
They can't. And I'm glad you brought up Butterbeer, because I was recently in Manhattan, in New York City. Mm-hmm. And that's, I was at the Harry Potter store there. I was out there opening a show of Mario the Maker Magician, and I got to meet up with the lovely Lauren Hersey from the your other podcast that you do with her, the I Want One of Those, and their wonderful daughter Lainey, and we shared some butterbeer at the New York Harry Potter store, which is kind of like what the Disney stores used to be in the olden days. It's superly well themed. It's not in Times Square. I start in Times Square. I walk down sort of Midtown Way to the Flatiron Building at 935 Broadway, and the Flatiron Building, annoyingly, is all covered at the minute up with all sorts of scaffolding, so you can't get that wonderful picture. But luckily in the Harry Potter shop there are lots of picture opportunities, and there is a chance to drink butterbeer both hot and cold.
Now, is this the same kind of butterbeer that Universal sells at its theme parks in the Wizarding World?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I had some. We shared a butterbeer. We got our butterbeer selfies. I could drink about 3 sips of it before my body went into shock based on the sugar, and I couldn't drink any more. So then, and I think they know this because we had it in the souvenir tankard, and there's a washing station so you can wash it out next to a throwaway station. No one's finishing that butterbeer, so I think it's the same, but you'll know. And actually, we should also explain that this leads us very nicely into the fact that today's case 4 with Chris Cox. That's me. Hi. It's slightly different because Len is lying down due to butterbeer consumption, and we're going to talk about not only the case for butterbeer, but Jim, I think you know the history of butterbeer better than any person in this world.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet of you to say that. Not quite as sweet as butterbeer is, but as for the actual history of butterbeer and how it wound up in the Universal Park, it's kind of fascinating. Our story today starts with the first Harry Potter book, and I want to be clear here, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That was the edition published in the UK back in June.
Well done, the correct naming.
Thank you. June of 97. Now, I have to ask, Chris, given you work the magic side of the street, when did you first discover Harry Potter?
Never heard of it. First time. No. I discovered Harry Potter I reckon it was around somewhere between book 2 and book 3. It was that thing of it, like, it started to make waves in the UK in the news circuit and around the world, and my aunt had kindly got me the first book, and I think it was around the time that book 2 had recently come out, so I got that. So it would have been like my late noughts, early teens, I suppose. And also there is a whole thing we should just briefly touch on here, which is there is a problematic discussion around the world of J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. And I think that it is one of those things where we can separate the art from the artist, and therefore I think we can enjoy and experience the wonder of Harry Potter without necessarily having to deal with all the other stuff that goes around that at the minute within the discourse. Okay. But I like the books, I like the play, I like the butterbeer in small quantities.
There we go. No, I can definitely get behind that, because Chris is correct. It has been difficult these last couple of years to be a Potter fan, because Ms. Rowling has staked, some interesting hills to die on, and let's just leave it at that, okay? Anyway, Chris just mentioned the second Harry Potter book, which is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, that's released in the UK in early July of 1998, whereas us here in the States, we were kind of slow on the uptake when it came to, the boy wizard. We didn't get the first book, which, by the way, got a new title, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. That didn't arrive here in the States till September of 1998.
And, Potter wasn't the massive thing it is now. We would kind of remember it of those later books, of those big parties of opening the books. But then it was still kind of a word of mouth thing. It was doing well. It was a bit of a hit. Parents liked it. Schools liked it. People were suggesting it to each other. I actually remember buying a copy of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in the Virgin Megastore in downtown Disney on a holiday to Disney World, because it had the Sorcerer's Stone title rather than the Philosopher's Stone title, which I was used to back home in the UK.
How cool. All right. Well, jumping ahead a month or so here, it's October of 1998 that Warner Brothers secures the movie rights to the first 2 books in the series for £1 million. By the way, that's $1.6 million. And then if we slide ahead 8 months, 9 months.
That, by the way, seems like such a good deal now, doesn't it?
Oh, well, now, let's be clear here. When it came time to acquire the film rights to the next 5 books, I believe Warner Brothers, paid through the nose or some other orifice. But anyway, June of 99, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets gets published in the United States. And then 1 month later, back in the UK, we finally get the third book in the series, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
So that's July 99, and that is my favourite of the books. It's my favourite of the movies, and it is the first Potter book that actually mentions Butterbeer. It's where it appeared for the very first time. So at the point, Harry is now old enough to visit Hogsmeade, the little village just outside Hogwarts Castle, and I think it was Ron who suggests that they stop at the Three Broomsticks pub to enjoy Butterbeer. And we've known about the pubs in Diagon Alley. It's the first time we learned about Hogsmeade. It's the first time we learned about the Three Broomsticks, which later we get to visit in the Universal Parks. And I think the line exactly is Harry Potter declares Butterbeer as the most delicious thing he's ever tasted.
There we go. Now, what's kind of interesting about this window of time is the Potter book series is definitely picking up some heat. So the lag time that we've previously seen between the UK publication of the books and the stateside publication, the window really closes this time around. Again, July of 99, Azkaban is published in the UK. By September of that same year, stateside, we're getting that book. And by the way, Chris is correct. I would agree. Best film of the series. Also, arguably the best book of the series. But sliding further into the fall of 99, this is when we begin to see Harry Potter merchandise appear in the Warner Brothers stores around the country. Now, mind you, everything that's on sale in these Warner Brothers stores is based on the book illustrations from the stateside editions of the book.
And this is the point where Harry Potter is starting to leach into the zeitgeist, I suppose. It's starting to become a phenomenon. The book sales are huge. I remember, again, at that Virgin Megastore in downtown Disney, buying the Jelly Belly Bertie Bott's Every Flavour beans, which you can still now buy in the parks, and you can get there's chocolate flavour, I think there's marmalade, earwax, and, importantly, butterbeer flavour.
First time the butterbeer, it becomes a flavor out in the real world. Now, we slide to July of the year 2000. Fourth book in the Harry Potter series, Goblet of Fire. Now, what's interesting is this time, first time ever, book is published at the exact same time in the UK and the US. And I think you referenced this a little earlier in today's show, Chris. We start to see parties around the release of the books.
Yeah, those parties were big. They were covered on the news. We used to in the UK, we'd have midnight releases, and I think they're in the US as well, where people would have parties at home or parties in the bookstore, and they'd have their homemade costumes because the merch wasn't available. They'd make up homemade butterbeer, which was sort of a cream soda thing topped with a spoonful of melted ice cream to put that foamy head on the glass of faux butterbeer. Sounds disgusting, if you ask me.
True. Okay. Sliding a bit further, September of the year 2000, production begins on the film version of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. That's released to theaters November of the following year, 2001. It's an enormous hit. And then bang, right after that, 1 year later, November of 2002, we get the movie version of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and also an enormous hit.
Yeah, this is the point where Potter becomes huge and you literally can't escape it. So, June of 2003, less than a year later, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix was published in the US, UK, Canada at the exact same time. It was 4 years since the last Harry Potter book, and within the first 24 hours, 5 million copies were sold. And now, everything Potter is popular. Yes. So Butterbeer's popularity explodes. There's Harry Potter themed birthday parties, and people want Butterbeer at the party. They want to live that world. So you get all these recipes online. I don't know whether it was the success of the book, which helped the film become a success, or vice versa, but suddenly everything was Potter.
Yeah. And important to mention that it's in this exact window of time that Disney decides to reach out to J.K. Rowling and discuss the possibility of adding a Harry Potter-themed mini-land to the Magic Kingdom in Florida.
And I remember you mentioning this with Len on the Disney Dish. What What was the land going to have? What was going to be in that pot of land?
Oof. Well, first of all, what's kind of interesting in where today we have the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train was where the Harry Potter mini land was supposed to be built, essentially on top of the old 20K lagoon, and as it was described to me, Chris, there were going to be two attractions. There was going to be a Defense Against the Dark Arts dark ride. And to understand the conceit here, think of Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin, only instead of wielding a ray gun at targets, you were going to be waving a wand. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, that sounds fun.
That's not fun. There was also going to be a Care of Magical Creatures walkthrough, and in this attraction, you were supposed to encounter. Well, you're going to be, you're going to channel Newt Scamander. You were going to get to meet three creatures, from the Harry Potter world, and especially one of the key moments of this was you were going to encounter a full-size hippogriff that, if you bowed, would bow in response, which, again, kind of cool thing.
I'd loved that.
But again, there was going to be a Potter-themed retail in this same space that was sort of modeled after a Flourish and Bots. And then, a 3 broomsticks counter service thing. And this is where you would have been able to get glasses of butterbeer inside of a Disney theme park.
I mean, that all sounds fun and enjoyable, but it's not quite the scale or the level that we ended up getting at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter over at Universal. But I'd like to have seen what the Disney Imagineers would have done with it. So how did Disney miss out on this butterbeer bonanza? Jim and I are going to discuss more of that in the second half of today's show. Stay around, because first, there's this.
Kraft mac and cheese is the best thing ever. It's even better than pop music. You look just as natural enjoying us at age 13 as you do 55. Kraft mac and cheese. Best thing ever.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
Swimsuit, passport, phone, with VPN activated.
VPN?
Cell phone service is going to be spotty on vacation, so we'll be using public Wi-Fi.
Sounds sketchy.
Exactly. The networks can leave your personal info, like credit card numbers, exposed to hackers.
McAfee's secure VPN lets you browse and bank safely from wherever, whenever. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
And we're back. By the way, any update on Mr. Testa?
Out like a light, flying on his back. I wonder what did it to him. Was it the butterbeer fudge, the butterbeer pancakes, the butterbeer ice cream?
Okay, well, he was horking down a bunch of those butterbeer cream puffs. Those, by the way, debuted early this year as part of the food offerings at Epic Universe.
And you can get those in, it's the Epic Universe. It's not Diagon Alley. That's at Universal Studios. Islands of Adventure is Hogsmeade. So Epic Universe is the Ministry of Magic area and like the Paris version, the Newt Scamander version of Harry Potter's France, right?
Yes. So I hear. But again, not in any of the Disney theme parks.
Yeah, so what happened there? It seemed like things were far along. You've told us about the ride concepts, the mini land that was going to be in Magic Kingdom. How did it all go off the rails?
Well, Chris, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, at one point in the middle of all this, Disney literally had in hand a letter of intent from J.K. Rowling, and she had signed it, and it was moving toward actual contracts. This it wasn't a done deal, but was very much trending in that direction.
But spoiler alert, it didn't happen, right? Because 2007 was it when Universal announced that they have the rights to Harry Potter's films, that franchise, for the theme parks, which also means they get the rights for Butterbeer.
Yeah, and to Disney's infinite regret. In fact, let's be blunt here, folks, that Disney tried to get similar beverages going at its theme park. I mean, Chris, I have to ask you, have you ever had LeFou's Brew in New Fantasyland, or for that matter, the blue milk or the green milk in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge?
I have not had LeFou's Brew. I have had the cinnamon roll, which is the size of a head. And I have had the blue and green milk at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which actually I find very enjoyable. I quite like it. It's refreshing. It's a bit weird. It's sort of, they're sweet. It's tart. I enjoy both of those, but I do think they don't have the same emotional hook or maybe taste hook as Butterbeer. And Jim, you'll know the answer to this. I don't know whether this is just one of those online rumors or actually is true. I heard something like in the first 6 months of operation at Universal, the Butterbeer sales alone basically paid for building of the whole of the Wizarding World.
Oh, no, you are not wrong. That I have heard that from multiple insiders at Universal. In fact, one of the reasons, and you have to understand, in the same window of time, Comcast has begun its acquisition of Universal. And so this, they got to open the books, just a few months after, the very first Wizarding World opened in June of 2010. And they were thrilled. It was just one of these things where it's like, are you kidding me? And it's like, well, of course we're building one of these in Hollywood. And of course we're building one of these in Tokyo. And we're going to expand, what we got in Florida. But meanwhile, on the other side of the fence, here's Disney putting hundreds of hours of effort into developing its own beverages. And let me just flat out say it, Chris, no need to circle back on LeFou's Brew ever. Better that you should just put the giant cinnamon bun in a blender and drink that, because it's foul.
I'll scrap it off my to-purchase list. That's fine. But Universal have got it right with Butterbeer, right? They must have spent a long time. I've done a lot of work with restaurants. There's a restaurant in the UK called the Fat Duck, which was once awarded best restaurant in the world. It's owned by a guy called Heston Blumenthal, who's one of the pioneers of molecular gastronomy and multi-sensory dining. And I know how much effort there has gone into flavor combinations and dishes that take 4 or 5 years to develop. The reason Butterbeer is a success isn't just based on the name of it being Butterbeer, because if people try it once and then don't go back to it, it's not going to be giving them enough money to build a whole theme park. So how did it get developed?
Well, all right. Steve Jason, who used to be the executive chef of Universal Orlando, actually told me the story once. He talked about how it's a year or so out from when Hogsmeade Village opens again, June of 2010. And he and the beverage development team at Universal Orlando, they have come up with 5 possible recipes for Butterbeer.
And who gets final sign-off on this? It's probably not Universal. It's probably not Warner. Is it J.K. Rowling herself? Is she the one who's going to do the taste testing? Go, that's Butterbeer.
That's it exactly. In fact, Jason told the story about how he took the ingredients for all 5 versions of Butterbeer. And by the way, kind of an interesting thing to try to get past the TSA. All these little vials and, well, what is this? And is that 5 ounces of fluid? Because you can't take it on the plane. But he gets it over and he meets JK at her castle in Scotland and personally mixes all 5 of these up for her, delivers it, brings them to her on a tray. She does the taste test, and she's the one who selects the final version that is served in the park.
I'm imagining her sat there trying it like someone in a fancy restaurant, trying to pretend they know about the wine when the sommelier pours it in, and really all they know is whether it's red or white. And they go, oh yes, it has hints of oak, and it's white, it's white wine, good. And so he presented 5 different flavors, not different types, right? Because we've got the cold Butterbeer, the frozen Butterbeer, the hot Butterbeer, all the Butterbeers now. But that was just flavors he did.
That's right. And speaking of the variations on Butterbeer, I want to remind folks that warm Butterbeer Butterbeer made its debut in January of 2014, and Butterbeer ice cream was introduced just a few months later with the opening of Diagon Alley. Chris, I have to tell you this story. The folks at Universal were kind enough, I want to say 2 months, 6 weeks before Diagon Alley opened, they invited me to visit Diagon Alley while it was finishing construction. We had a lovely meal inside of the Leaky Cauldron. And by the way, what's fascinating about that restaurant is if you go right past, the Leaky Cauldron again, that's supposedly been there since the 1600s. You go right past this thing, and there is a state-of-the-art kitchen right behind that thing. It was so shocking to go from 1600s to 2014. But anyway, at the end of the meal, they walk me up the street to Florian Fortescue's because they want to show off their brand new thing for Diagon Alley, and it's Butterbeer ice cream. And, they give me a little bit of it to sample, and I taste it, and I turn to them, it's like, dear Lord, it's like you invented another flavor of crack. And, the Universal PR team was both delighted and like, oh man, that's a great line. We can't use that line, yeah, but that's a great line.
Maybe not,
man, maybe not. But anyway, all right. So that debuts when Diagon Alley opens in July of 2014. Butterbeer Fudge didn't show up till March of last year. At the same time, we got the Butterbeer potted cream, and this year, with the opening of the Ministry of Magic, we got the Butterbeer cream puff and the Butterbeer crepe. And okay, we've heard from your adventure at the Harry Potter New York store that 3 sips of butterbeer and you're out. But do you have a favorite version of butterbeer?
I do. I like. If I'm in the parks, I will go for the frozen version. I think I can drink more of it, and I like the coldness. But really, my favourite is the Butterbeer soft serve. That is, like you say, I like crack. Not that I've tried crack to compare it, but I'm assuming so. Always just want to point that out, right?
Okay, there we go. And what about your kids? Do they have an opinion about Butterbeer?
Yes, they will have whichever Butterbeer I give them. And normally we will share one of the frozen ones because there's way too much sugar. And I don't want to give them the chance of picking any Butterbeer they want because I feel like I will be bankrupt on Butterbeer departments. But yeah, I think the frozen is our go-to for soft serve. I cannot wait to visit Epic next year and try the crepes. Do you have a favourite?
I have to say, same thing. I like the frozen, but at the same time, I'm always kind of intrigued by. I don't know if you've actually watched them make the butterbeer. If you go to like the Hogshead Tavern, where first they pour out the cold, and then there's a second step where they actually put the head on the beverage.
Yes, like a Guinness or something.
There we go. So, but anyway, and trust me that, the formula for that is locked away, in some vault at Universal. But anyway, speaking of Harry Potter related things,
isn't that the story that I think is on the Epic Universal podcast you do with Eric Hersey? You tell the story of them taking Butterbeer to Hollywood for people to sample before they opened it, but then taking it all back because people were going to try and get the Butterbeer.
Oh, not only that, at the end of the press event, they made this very big show of, okay, this is the remaining Butterbeer, and they poured it into the sewer. They were not going, and again, there are thirsty Universal Hollywood employees looking on that, I want to try some butter. Well, you're not the press. And, no, you can't have the good stuff. And speaking of the good stuff, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, the play, opens in London at the Palace Theatre in July of 2016. And weren't you a consultant on that project?
Yeah, I'm part of the magic team on Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So 2 incredible creators, Chris Fisher and Jamie Harrison, created all the original magic for the show. And I got to see that show when it first opened in London, and weirdly was doing a show a few theatres down in the West End, a magic show at the time. And I sent them an email saying, it's disappointing that I'm in an actual magic show, and the best magic show in London at this point is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. The magic in it is utterly incredible. And then a few years later, I was brought onto the team to help train up the cast when there was a cast change in doing the magic on that show. And there are now multiple productions of it around the world. The production in London is still and will always be the 2-part version, but everywhere else they've changed it into a 1-part version. So in London, you go to the afternoon to see part 1. In the evening, you see part 2. But if you go to New York, you can see it on Broadway currently with Tom Felton back playing Draco Malfoy, just an older version of Draco Malfoy. And there you see it as a traditional play over 2 acts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, cool. Now I have an excuse to go to London. I actually wanted to see it in its original 2-play form. I mean, I have the libretto, but, really wanted to see it in person. But quick question. I mean, obviously, there's the interval, between, well, in this case, between the 2 plays. Yep. If I go out to the lobby, can I get Butterbeer there? Do you know?
No Butterbeer for you, Jim. No Butterbeer for you. Also, no Butterbeer for anyone. No, they don't sell it. You can't get Butterbeer. You can get show-specific merchandise, which includes like some of the logos of the things that were created for the show version rather than the movie version. There's an amazing little thing they do between in London. It's between the 2 parts. In the other versions, it's in the interval. But like the way the story lives on during the interval, there's loads of great stuff. But you can't drink Butterbeer. You can pay for a very expensive glass of just regular drink because it is the theatre, but no Butterbeer.
Okay. Now, speaking of things in the UK, there is, of course, the Warner Brothers Studio London, the Making of Harry Potter attraction. That opened in March of 2012, and I think when we were pre-gaming, you imagine you got in there when it was still under construction?
Yeah, I excitedly got to have a hard hat tour, and the joy of that place is that was back in 2012, and I actually need to go back soon because my kids are now into Harry Potter and they've added so much more since then. So I went with a hard hat on as they were still building it. The day I was in, they were kind of putting into place all the props into Dumbledore's office. So I saw them placing it, and they were going off the guides, and they had a big spreadsheet they were working off. I saw there's an amazing kind of coup de théâtre, and this entrance the first time you see the Great Hall, and I watched them testing that before any of the actual technology worked for it. It was incredible to see, and then I got to go again when it opened, and various times after as little bits opened. I've done that amazing thing of getting to spend time interviewing Ron Weasley himself, Rupert Grint there, and the Phelps twins and the whole Weasley family. But we did it in kind of the set of the kitchen of the Burrow, so it's like an utterly nuts mind thing of being like, well, I'm talking to the actors on the set of the thing they filmed about the thing, and now that we can visit the thing within the thing. It was all very meta, but it is utterly incredible, and it's it's not a museum, but it is a museum compared to a theme park, but it does such amazing business. It's a place that gets sold out time and time again. If you're going to go, you have to plan, you have to book in advance.
Oh, no, you're not wrong. I've heard, in fact, my niece talked about when she made a trip to the UK, she had to buy her tickets 6 weeks before she arrived in the UK. That's how popular it is. And more to the point, they have been downright aggressive about expanding it and adding even more pieces of the Wizarding World. And but the other reason, and tying back into today's show, the other reason you want to go check out the Warner Brothers Studio London, The Making of Harry Potter, is because there they sell bottled butterbeer. And more recently, in fact, we learned about this at IAPA. A gentleman was nice enough to share this info with myself, Len, and Jim Schul. But there's a restaurant there. I want to say it's the Hogwarts Table that has begun offering, if you can believe it, butterbeer flights, where I guess you get a glass of butterbeer, a cup of butterbeer ice cream, and then a butterbeer cupcake. And they also have the butterbeer bar there, which, by the way, full-size bar or bar is just after their amazing recreation of Platform 9 3/4. And there you can get, what is it? Butterbeer on draft. You can get the butterbeer ice cream, and putting on notice here, Chris, for the first time in Europe, frozen butterbeer.
I'm already there in my head. I'm going to book a train ticket now. It is so cool, actually, and it's sort of just worth mentioning. Anyone who is thinking on going, you should go. But it is just outside of London. You take a train to Watford in that area, so it is a full day out because it takes time to travel there and back. But also, it's worth noting as well, actually, they started selling the bottled butterbeer at the New York store that I was in a few days ago, and there's a special New York label on that New York bottled butterbeer. And it tastes very nice. It sort of tastes slightly different to the other butterbeer because you don't get that sort of thick, creamy head on it. But it's the same flavours are there. And the other thing at the Warner Brothers tour in London is they've got a kind of, from what I remember, it's kind of around the Exit gift shop area. There's kind of a chocolate frog themed cafe now as well, where you can get chocolate frog, hot chocolate, and they've got these amazing pastries all set up. And at the minute, it's the Hogwarts in the Snow Christmas thing. So you've got like little Harry Potter style snowmen, which are edible ones. It's like an incredible job that they've done with their food and beverage options there.
Oh, very cool. And by the way, though, what's kind of interesting about, again, the Harry Potter tour thing in London is that when you check out the restaurants online, they actually have a description of what the official butterbeer is. And can you share that with the class, Chris?
I certainly can. It is officially a vegan, non-alcoholic beverage reminiscent of shortbread and butterscotch. The unique blend of top secret ingredients makes for a special and refreshing drink, evocative of the beverage found in the Wizarding World. Available now for only $29.99.
Wow, that was smooth and professional. Holy cow! Now bringing this full circle here, I wonder which of these top secret ingredients were the ones that put Mr. Testa under the table today.
We will never know, Jim. We will never know. But for now, why don't we let Len try and sleep off his butterbeer-induced sugar coma and reconvene for the court of the Walt Disney World Resort in about 2 weeks' time? Sound good to you?
That works for me. So until then, the case for with Chris Cox is now closed. On behalf of myself, Mr. Cox, and Mr. Testa, thanks for listening. And this court will be back in session soon.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. Mm-hmm. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.